Welcome to your Joyful Riches podcast, where you gain precious tips and tools for creating your beautiful, awesome, thriving life. This podcast is delivered alongside G100 Global Networking and powered by Anchor FM, which is the super awesome podcast made easy platform. And for today, for this week, we are so thrilled and honored to have Sharon with us. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you for having me here.
We met quite a few years ago. What is it, in 2019 or something? Quite a few years.
It was 2019 and it was in London.
Yeah.
And we were both speaking at WEF.
Yeah, all the way back in London. Amazing, and so grateful and so thrilled that we stay in touch and to have you share your brilliance and tips and tools for our community here. Would you care sharing with our community, with our listeners, what is it that you do?
Well, I do a couple of different things. I'm an intuitive money healer. I do Akashic record readings. And I also do business coaching. So what I realized was that I was successful in traditional business because of my spirituality. And a lot of times we struggle understanding that that is a part of it, right? So recently I developed a program that explains sales from a spiritual side, and I call it the soul of sales. And it's basically helping people understand not just that sales is a process and how to do it, but also how you grow yourself when you learn how to do this. Yeah, because it's interesting. I was thinking about it this morning. I was thinking about what I was going to talk about. We're selling all the time. People, spiritual-minded people don't like the word sales. They think it's a horrible word. But what I talk about is intentional sales. And it's all about using your inner guidance for mindful selling.
So quick questions about that. So the first thing is, how do you get into this? Like, how did you kind of like growing up and say, you know what, I want to create this spiritual selling kind of thing? And I mean,
Daddy, I want to be a money healer, No, that didn't happen.
or is this something that you develop over in your life? How did you get into this?
It's really interesting. I began my spiritual path when I was 40, and I'm 70 now, so it was 30 years ago. So I've read quite a few books and I've done a lot of study, but I laugh because it is a cute story. I worked for a commercial collection agency, and I was in sales, and I was in sales most of my life. I trained salespeople. I was a sales manager, but I worked at a commercial collection agency, and the owner came up to me and we were good friends. And he said, a friend of mine's going to be out of town, so I'm going to teach his class. It's called A Course in Miracles. And would you come? So I know somebody that's there. And I said, oh, sure, I'll come. So my older brother, Ron, I called him and I said, Ronnie, you're into all this weird shit. What is it? What am I getting myself into?
That's so funny.
And so he says, well, he says, I bought the book when I was in college. He said, I'll go with you. And he passed away in 2019. But we spent all of those years studying and having many deep discussions about A Course in Miracles. So that kind of started my spiritual journey. And then I loved it. When I opened the book, I went to the class, okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh my God, I know this. I didn't know other people thought like this. I thought I was a lone soldier, right? So I ended up facilitating a class myself. And if they say you teach best what you most need to learn. But what I've come to understand is what that really means is when you have to teach something to someone else, you have to get it crystal clear and succinct in your own mind of exactly what it is and what it means so that you can share it with another person. So that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. I was in business. Like I never connected the dots. I really never did connect the dots. until I left traditional business and decided to go out on my own. And I started out as a sales coach, but it didn't really fit. I wanted to bring in that whole spiritual. And so I started studying other modalities. And that's when I learned about the Akashic records and healing work. And, you know, it expands. We were talking about that a little earlier. We grow and expand all the time. So, you know, I went from that and like recently, I don't know if I said at the beginning, I started painting angels.
Wow.
Never would have thought I would call myself an artist. But yeah, so now I'm an author and an artist, and you know, life is good. It's fun. I love getting up every day. Don't necessarily work on the same thing, but it's fun.
That is so amazing. So that the spiritual side of business, so to say, the spiritual side of selling, and I love that you point out that so many people, particularly in spiritual community, don't like selling. You know, they don't like the word
No,
selling.
they
And
think it's a dirty word.
and clarify for us. So yes, the many people
Yeah, so
it's
what
like,
it is they don't really understand. We've all been through the used car salesman syndrome, where you think somebody pushed you into buying something, right? But sales is really all about information, but it's also about questioning, asking the right questions, and determining if you can help the person and how. So the first tip I would give our viewers is don't ever compromise your own values. You have to be yourself and you have to be authentic, because if you're not, on some level, okay, it's going to be felt by the other person, and they're going to either feel the love from you, that you care and you really want to share with them, or that you're really disassociated and it's all about the money. And people will feel that. It's a vibrational universe. Everything is energy. So sales is really about putting yourself, that's why it's intentional sales, right? Coming from the mindfulness is being totally present with the person that you're in front of to determine whether you really can or cannot help them.
so for you, selling is not just about the money then. It's something where it's something where you actually, sounds like it's more serving more than just.
That's it, perfect. Selling is serving. Yeah, because it's all about understanding. And this, the second tip I had was people buy solutions to their problem or pain. So you're actually selling a solution, but you have to know what that solution, what it is. You have to ask the right questions, and you have to understand your job when you're selling is actually determining if you can help the person, how you can help them. And if you can't, you need to pass. Okay. Because if you try to push it, it's going to come back, it's going to backfire. It's like a boomerang. Okay. It'll come back and it'll haunt you. And it's funny because I just thought about, I hadn't thought about this in years, but one of the many things I've done in my life was I sold Mary Kay. And I went with a young lady and we went and did facials for, it was actually back in the day when there were unwed mothers' homes, because, you know, your family would send you to another city so nobody would know, right? So we went and did facials for the women at the unwed mothers' home. And of course, there were workers and other people there. And another woman was with me, and the agreement was you split whatever happened, you split the sales. Well, she was a really aggressive salesperson. And so she talked a couple of people into buying stuff. And one of the people, of course, the sale went to me because we were splitting it. And she really talked the woman into it. But of course, with Mary Kay, you always have a guarantee, right? And I'll never forget, the woman called me like 2 days later and she said, I have to bring this back. My husband is about to kill me. I didn't want it. I don't know why I got talked into it. And I remember I felt awful because I was like, I wasn't even the one that talked her into it, right? But I understood that feeling. It was like she bought something that she really didn't want, and somebody talked her into it. There's two sides to that coin, though, okay? You can't be talked into something unless you're open to it, right? So a lot of times when we're thinking about sales and our thoughts around sales, we have to realize what we think about sales is going to come into play. So you really have to understand if you bought something you really didn't want, there was a part of you that was not standing in your own truth, standing in your own power to say, not for me, I pass. It's perfectly okay to do that. And if someone does that, if you can't help them, then you might know somebody that can. And if you do that, let me tell you, referrals are the best thing a business can have, right? So, yeah. Did I answer the question? I kind of went down a different path there.
No, I love your answer. That is definitely is so very true. And I would say also sometimes, what about people who buy things? You know, there is a saying that people buy with emotions,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
and not their head. And I mean, sometimes people do get talked into things, but you know, and I know there are times when people actually know, kind of like deep in their heart, they need something, and then they follow their heart, and then their logic or whatever, their husband logic or their wife logic kicks in and say, what the, why do you sign up for these things? Why
exactly. What are you doing? Why are you spending the money on that? But yeah.
But
well, what are the third tip that I have for our
so my
listeners
questions for that really quick,
oh,
if I may, is because sometimes, you know, you're like, so is it actually the person don't need it, or they actually need it? And then you actually, as a person, since we're talking about sale and a lot of our audience here in some form of business, so how do the person who are selling and want to be spiritual, how do they know if if the person buying and then come back and say, oh, you know what, I actually don't want this? Is it actually they were being talked into, like you talk
well,
them
if you
into
do
it,
your no,
or
if you
it's
do
actually they need it, but now they
I
scared,
get it.
they get
Yeah.
scared?
So if you do the process, if you do your job up front, chances of that happening are very nil, because that's what we call buyer's remorse, right? It's like in the moment, I got excited. Yeah, I want it, timeshare. Yeah, sign me up. And then, and then a gazillion dollars for the rest of my life. No, I don't think so. But yeah, so it's like you get into the emotion of it. But part of the sales process is, and this was my third tip, that's why I was going to it, because you just led right into it. And it's you need to fully understand what they need and if you can provide it. Okay. And there's an old saying, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And we get so excited about what we do and how we can help people. We'll just clamor on and on and on, and we don't even know what the person really wants. Right? We're so busy telling them how wonderful what we have is, we don't even know where they sit. So one of your biggest things in the process is, I laugh because they say, ask for the sale. Yes, but you have to earn the right to ask for the sale, right? So you're like a kind of a ninja, and when you're doing a sales process, but if you follow the steps, it just flows, okay? But it's all about questioning and asking the right questions, and then understanding what the person means when they answer back. Because a lot of times, if we don't reflect back what we think we heard something entirely different than what they meant, right? So when you're in your sales process, when you're presenting to a person and you're trying to find out what solution do they need, can I provide this solution? You need to really bring spirit on board with you, whatever that is for you, right? And bring that higher self of yourself so that you know that you're not making it about you. It's got to be about them. And that's one of the hardest things I think spiritual people have, is like, we want to heal the world, right? We want to shine the light. We want to heal the world. And so we forget that other people don't know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. So that's why having a process to follow and asking the right questions and presenting at the right time, it's really not that hard once you know how to blend that spiritual and that practical, and just, hone in so that you help more people that way.
I love that, particularly one thing that you said, make it about the other persons. What is it that they really need? And what is it that they really want? Not what is it that you have? Because,
Right.
it's like, it's kind of like there's the saying like, yeah, some people who are really good can sell ice to an Eskimo, but is that what? Yeah, and
They don't need it, right? I got this
right.
great ice. It's like, but yeah, so emotions do come into play when you're selling, absolutely, because we're human beings, we have emotions. But if you understand what your part in the process is, and because you are kind of like coaching people in a sense, right? And you don't have to be a coach, don't get me wrong, you don't have to be a coach, but you have to be understand how to question, when to ask, and just ways to really make certain that you're presenting the right solution to the right person. Because when you do that, it's a win-win. And the universe is all about win-win. So, yeah.
So over the year, as you help people, do you find that some people are like naturally, kind of like inherently better salesperson than other? Because sometimes I hear people saying that, oh, yeah, they're good, and I'm just not a good salesperson. I'm just not born that way, or something like that.
You don't have to be if you have a process to follow. If you understand, like you do, it's just like you're not born knowing how to wash your face, but you understand that you have to get the rag, you have to put the soap on it, you have to have water, you brush the face, you rinse it. That's a process, right? You're not born knowing that, but somebody taught you. So sales is the same way. Now, some people are, I don't want to say this, their own insecurities get so much in the way, they are afraid of sales because they think it's selling when it's not. It's actually being of service, right? So it's a matter of getting your own mindset into the right place. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they just give up because they feel like they're no good at it. Well, you don't know if you don't know, right? So but it is a process. It's very, and it's not a huge process. It's just understanding your customer, but also understanding how you're letting your own insecurities get in your way. And we all do that. We do that to take us. We do that every day. It's like, it's all about learning about yourself and understanding yourself as well as your fellow man.
And I love that. It's about understanding yourself, not just understanding, because sometimes people's like, oh, you got to understand the product. Of course, you want to understand the product or whatever that you're selling, the service, but also understand yourself. And you said understand the customer. Now, do you have a couple tips, or do you give so much precious tips already? But some people might say, so everybody walking in is different. So how do I understand the customer?
Well, it's because if you know the right questions to ask, then you will understand your customer. And that's one of the things I teach, is how to ask the right questions, different types of questions, why you ask them and when you ask them. That's easy enough and it's not hard. It's really not.
So these are things that you can teach, and you actually teach this to people.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is this, you mentioned a book or a course or something? Is this in your book or course or something?
I have a course. It's called The Soul of Sales. And it's 16 lessons. And in each lesson, they're not really long, because I know people, don't like to spend a lot of time trying to have to learn something when we're busy doing business. So the videos are probably like 10, 15 minutes. But what I do is I give you a exercise, like homework of sorts. It's an assignment for you to really understand and incorporate how that lesson applies to your particular business. Because it's great if I can tell you, what a massage therapist has to do. But if, you're I don't know, a naturopath, it might be different, right? So you have to understand how it applies to your business.
So your course actually, it's not just sometimes, kind of like when you go to college or you read book or something, it's all a bunch of theory. Your sounds like it's allow them to learn things, and it's mostly kind of like teaching them tools, and right off the bat, you teach them how to use it in the way that they need to use it then.
Correct. And how it applies to your business and you, because a lot of this course is a lot about looking within at your own spiritual self and stuff and reconnecting to your divine self and what's going on inside of you and how being connected to the universe. So it's kind of unique in that way. I think it is like, sales process is kind of a typical thing, but combining the spiritual with it, I didn't see that anywhere. And so that's why I decided to create it.
Oh, that is so super awesome. So it's kind of like you getting two courses in one. You got to know your sales and your work and your business, and then you got to know yourself a little more too. So that's something that's really, really neat. And
What's important? It's the most important thing is understanding you.
yeah, exactly. Understand why, if you are the way that I used to. I used to be one of those people who's like, oh, selling whatever, and then I realized actually selling is surfing. But even more to me, it's like even now that I look back, I'm like, yeah, actually, even when you are say 5 years old and you wanted ice cream and you sit there and say, screaming, and at first they say no, and then you're like screaming, and then eventually
We're selling
yes,
every day. Yeah, we're selling every day.
We're
always selling people on our ideas and what it is we want, where we want to go for dinner, what we're going to have for dinner.
right,
Who's going to drive?
So sounds like that just come to me just right now. Yes, you're talking about selling, but I was about to say, even when you go on a date, you're kind of selling, yourself. Really.
I never thought of that, but that's absolutely true. Because like the questioning part of the process, and I even say this in the thing, this is not play 20 questions, right? Because you don't want to make people think that you're just badgering. Blah, 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 blah. It's a flow, okay? But understanding different types of questions would absolutely help on a date.
There you go. You find extra use of that. Just don't forget the commission. Just kidding.
There you go.
But I was like, that would work. I mean, with a lot of time, I know a lot of my single friends is like, oh, you don't know what to ask, or you ask the question, or it sounds like that's something. So
yeah.
whether you are into business, or whether your concern is business, or what your concern is your personal growth, or it is to be with the love of your life, and you're going to go on the date, you want to check out Sharon's spiritual sales, because it will just help you succeed in either way. Now, tell us a little bit more about this art that you're doing. Something about you become an artist recently.
Yeah, I started painting angels. It was weird. I was waking up one morning. I shouldn't say weird, but for me it is. My brother has a degree in fine art, so I never thought of myself as an artist. Okay. So I was waking up one morning and I had a friend who was going through some issues, and I felt like it was an angel said, paint their angel. And I actually saw in my mind's eye how to paint the angel, how to do the wings. That one I did with sponge. And so my brother came in and I said, I need to paint something. I need you to help. So he did it on his board, and then he showed me how to do it on mine. And then I realized I love doing it. Actually, I'll take that back. It was funny. I showed a friend of mine, and he's an attorney. He's actually my attorney. But I showed him the painting. He goes, oh my God, that's beautiful. Do you sell those? And I went, no. And I thought, so I painted his angel and sent it to him. He was absolutely thrilled. So then I just started painting angels. And the wonderful thing is when you take a picture of them and you enlarge, there's different images. There's faces, sometimes an animal, whatever it means to the person. And so now I've done commission pieces where people hire me and I do their angel. And they always find things in the background or in the angel itself. Kind of interesting. I think I have one on my desk. Look.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's
I do.
it's a guided painting is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
let me oops, sorry. Let me have you say something, Sharon.
Okay, am I on? Am I there? Yeah, I just happen to have one on my desk. That's what they look like, kind of like that. And the backgrounds are all different. This is one that's completely different. So, yeah.
Wow,
And
that is amazing. That's awesome. So and what you're sharing, you were sharing with me the other day when we were speaking about this, that it's kind of like when you paint it for people who requested it, it's almost like sending them a message that they need to see, and that just
exactly. And what I do is I do prayer work beforehand, and it's kind of like I listen to their angel, okay, and I let them guide my hand. It's phenomenal, and it's meditative for me. It's very beautiful. It's a wonderful feeling. But I always say it's one of your angels that's ready to be seen by you, because we're surrounded by angels all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of cool that I get to share with people what one of their angels looks like and the messages that they see within for themselves. And it's all about the energy of it too. I mean, to me, it's like, when you look at that, it's not about the beauty, and it's pretty, but it's more about how does that feel? What does that feel like to you?
Yeah.
And
What
yeah.
a beautiful things. And I would say with Mother's Day coming up, this is a beautiful gift for either a
Oh,
mother,
absolutely.
somebody that you for mother, or I would say it's a beautiful gift for like for your mom, or I being a grief specialist, because I'm a grief specialist, I'm kind of skewed in certain way. It might also be a beautiful gift for somebody who will appreciate. Of course, not everybody does, but if somebody who will appreciate, since sounds like there are messages in there in that painting,
Yeah.
it's also a beautiful gift, either for yourself, firstly.
I've also done
Somebody.
it. I mean, I also did it for a couple of friends when they had a baby. It was their baby shower gift.
Yes, kind of like what they do. So yeah, for baby, for your mom, or for yourself, or somebody who are missing their mom and might just see the right message in there. That is with Mother's Day coming up particularly. So
Yeah, it is hard. When I'll never forget the first Mother's Day, my mom wasn't here. It was hard. It was really hard. So if I had something that I could, look at and think, oh, that's mom thinking of me, let me see. Oh, there's something. Oh, that was special to us. I see that in the background, that kind of thing. So I
yeah.
love the universe gives us messages everywhere. We just have to pay attention.
That is so awesome. That is so beautiful. Oh wow, so much wealth for whether you need help with business, your personal thing, your dating life, or in the spiritual realm, connecting and receiving message. Sharon can help you. So
Thank
thrilled
you.
and honored and grateful to have you with us. How do people learn about you? How do people connect with you?
So I have a giveaway. I have a gift.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Go to more clients, MORECLIENTS.info. It's a little guide like that. This is how it looks like that you download, and it gives you tips that will help you. I promise there's a nugget in there for you. That's a little step-by-step guide. And then on there, you'll find for the course, it's thesoulofsales.com. And the angels, not everybody's on Facebook, but you can go to SharonHess.com.
Okay.
And basically like my soul story readings. But if you email me through that, I'll get the message. Or you can email me, Sharon@SharonHess.com.
Okay. So Sharon@SharonHess.com. And then definitely, whether you want more clients or you need to learn some tools and skills on understanding others and for yourself or your next date, then connect with Sharon. Sharon@SharonHess.com. And more clients.info and SharonHess.com. That is so beautiful. So fun too, Sharon.
It's always fun to talk with you.
And do you have a final message for our audience as we complete this?
I think my final message, and I'm going to go back to sales because I know so many wonderful, beautiful, spiritual people struggle with that, and you don't really need to. That you actually said it best at the beginning. It's not selling, it's serving. And if you don't present the offer in a way that they can understand, then you're not doing your part of the bargain. You know, when God puts us in front of somebody, I believe that, you know, spirit, that there's a reason. And we have to do our part in the bargain as well as the other person. So just always remember that it's going to be a win-win.
If you do it from your heart, it'll be a win-win. I do have one additional questions if you don't mind. So you said you will be 70. My questions, or you are 70. My question is, what's your secret for looking so young?
Oh my God. My mom was from Belgium. It says European genes. I don't know. I laugh because like when I was young, I never did facials. I didn't do a lot. I think it has to do because I have a young heart and my inner child is alive and well. I've laughed a lot in my life. I love having fun. I also love helping people, serving people. And I think that's the secret to youth is just be young at heart.
You know, that's very funny because my dad says that too. I actually, with me, it was when I turned 50 this past year. I said, oh my God, I was like, I turned 50, which means he's much older, right? And so I said, and you know, you're like, oh wow, I just turned 50, right? And so I look at him, I'm like, do you feel old? And my father, who is 78, look at me and say, no.
No, I don't. I mean, it's, you know, don't get me wrong, my body's wearing out. I had to have my knees replaced, but you know, it's okay. Thank God they can do that nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Now my joke can be, you know, I know that because I've been around the block a few times and I got the knees to prove it. Right.
Yes. And then when you're
in my mind, I look in the mirror and I go, who's that old person? You know, it's like, because in my mind, I'm still the same as I was when I was in my 30s. So, yeah.
So serve the way you're called to serve and have a lot of fun and stay young at heart, like Sharon and my dad says, and then you'll stay young and vibrant and create a wonderful, thriving life. Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you for the beautiful.
You know what I always say, I just want to say my one thing I always say is go out and have a fabulous life just because you can.
I love that. Thank you. Go out and have a fabulous life just because you can. Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And for you, my friends who are listening to this, please share 1 or 2 gold nuggets in the comments so we can continue learning from each other. And please share these conversations with your friends and family because they too, as you see, Sharon's covered a lot of different aspects here, whether they want to thrive in business or personal life or perhaps in a dating life, you can help them and we're here to help each other, like Sharon said, to help and serve each other. So share this with your friends and families as well, and that way we all can create a beautiful, wonderful, thriving life together. together. And this is Dr. BirgitteTan, your grief specialist for individuals and companies, and the United States country chairs of G100 Global Networking and founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity. I thank you very much for joining us today and look forward to see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.